Let me start by saying that I'm extremely glad and pretty much excited to be here. So just do me a favor, and I'm really serious about this. Just look around you and just ask if the person around you is doing okay. You know, just it's good to be here. Good to be here. I see quite a number of faces, folks I know doing great stuff, and to everyone who has found it necessary to make this the first place of public appearance that you make after the lockdown. Please do put your hands together for yourself. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. Nothing will break your spirit. All right? Are you there? Are you okay? I can't hear you. Are you okay? All right, great. So I'm going to spend a bit of time. The time allotted to me is 30 minutes. I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about what I tag lessons from my business model canvas. And first of all, I think this is an amazing conference. Listening to the different perspectives that I've heard so far and those yet to come. I see Naitima, good to see you. And all the other fantastic speakers, and of course those that will be on the panel as well. And I certainly celebrate each and every one of you. Right. So I'm going to be talking with you on what I tag lessons from my business model canvas. Now, the truth of the matter is we have a lot of entrepreneurs in Akwa Ibom State. I do not have the data at hand, but I'm told that a lot of budding new businesses, a lot of nascent businesses, a lot of businesses that have been around for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But I'm a bit worried about the capacity of these businesses. You see, there's a problem, like Nature alluded to, when we have so many businesses that are existing. I said if you go to CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, and you get a listing of all the businesses in Akwa Ibom State, you will wonder why the microeconomy and indeed the macroeconomy of the state isn't doing significantly better than it is. And so you have a lot of businesses, as Prof said in the first presentation when I walked in here, that are really existing but not built to be sustainable. And anything that is not built to be sustainable isn't doing us a lot of good. Because you see, for every business that fails and every business that crashes, you've just sent out a signal out there to hundreds, 200, 300 people that they shouldn't bother. And that's a real challenge. So the businesses that you run as young entrepreneurs, as business owners, it's not just for yourself. It's not just for your time and your 2x2, or by the food you can put on the table, or the house you can live in, or the car that you can drive. It's significantly much more than that. I've been running business development for a while for a number of organizations. I'm currently working in a national project. And one thing I do recognize, as I have over the years, is that the fact that you're a small business does not give you the permission to think small. And you have to take note of that. Because one of the things I want to be able to achieve today is to challenge you to pay more attention to the things that have to do with your business. We can all do better. We can all do better. And so, many of you have probably heard of the concept of the BMC, the Business Model Canvas, which is a visual representation of the business plan. And I like it because you know what they say about pictures. They say about 1,000 words much more than any verbal narrative can give you. And so it's an easy way to be able to have a wide perspective and an outlook on whatever business initiative that you're doing or that you're undertaking. And as you will know or will come to know, that there are 9 elements to the business model canvas. And so what I want to do now over the next probably 20 minutes or so is to just tell you, share with you from my heart really what my thoughts are by way of experience, by way of the things that we have done, what each of these elements shall mean to you, and then you can now, based on the things that I have said to you, along with all the other illustrious speakers that are here, be able to own each of those 9 elements in your business. And if you haven't given consideration to any of the 9 elements so far, now is the time to start. Now is the time to start. And so the first off, in particularly no pristine order otherwise, I'm going to start off with each of the 9 and hopefully run through it in the next few minutes. So number 1 of the things that you need to be paying attention to in building your business, let's start with customer segmentation. And so every business requires customers. The question has always been, ab initio, is do you have customers for businesses or do you have businesses for customers? Many organizations that have run business development for have always come with the notion that all they have to do is to roll out their service, roll out their product, and some way, somehow, customers will arise from nowhere to demand those products. Doesn't work like that. So, if I was to do an x-ray and walk across this room and speak to just about everybody seated here and ask you to analyze your customers for me, would you truly be able to? Because if you can't analyze your customers, understand what their demands are, understand what shapes them, what their taste buds are, the things that drive them, their spending habits, the demographic that they are, the patterns that they have, the human weight and capacity that they have, their spending nature, and every other thing that has to do with them, how then do you know who to sell to? How then do you know who to sell what to? How then do you know how to sell what to? And so you've got to be able to pay attention to that. You've got to be able to separate your customers. You've got to be able to think through what makes your customers. And it just does not end in a 30-minute talk that I'm going to have with you. It's something that you're consciously going to have to go back Monday morning, sit down with your team, and I do hope that you have a team. Because far too many businesses are MD, CEO, chairman, and that's where all the decision-making stops. That's trouble. So I do hope you have a team. And I do hope that Monday morning we'll find you sitting down, running through some of these things that we're discussing and x-raying them. Now, whilst the model canvas as a business plan, right, is something that you naturally will think of as when you want to start up a business, one of the things that I have found that it is a continuous management tool that I use every single quarter or every single year for the length and breadth of any business. So it's something that you've got to be thinking through and using all the time. Who are your customers? What makes them your customers? Somebody once said, I asked a question once in a business clinic that I was hosting for an organization in Lagos, and I asked them, who are you competing with, for instance? Let me just get ahead of myself and say this. Who are you competing with? And they began to give names of people that were doing the things that we're doing. So I see Papsi there, and if I was perhaps to ask him, he would tell me about every other person that is making shoes and footwear and all of that. And I said, no. You must realize that in this time and age, your competition is every single thing people pay money for. I say that again. Your competition is not the person that does something that's complementary to what you do. Your competition is not the person that does something that is competing with what you do. Your competition is every other thing that people pay money for. And the way that we are right now, coming out of the pandemic season, and we are really, medically speaking, still in the pandemic season. Our mindsets are just adjusted to it. But coming out of that season, the taste buds and the satisfaction level and the priorities of customers have shifted. So you're not only competing with people and trying to get them to buy what you're doing, you're getting them to prioritize what you have so that they will not spend money on other things that they ordinarily will have spent money on, but will consider what you have priority enough for them to spend their money on it. And priority, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is not what you feel good about. Priority is not what you like. Priority really is what you cannot do without. My question is, do you have customers that think they cannot do without you? Because if I think I can do without what you do, then I'm not going to spend money on what you do. Did you get that? Can I move further? Can I move further? And then you now come going away from, say, segmenting your customers and understanding your customers. You've also got to look at one of the most vital things, business people, one of the most vital things I consider is necessary in business. You've got to look at the way you manage, initiate and manage relationships with these customers. So you've identified them, you've understood the things that make them up, you've understood what their composition is. How do you manage them? What kind of strategies do you have for acquiring customers? What kind of strategies for those of you that already have existing businesses that have been running for a while? What kind of strategies do you have to retain customers? What kind of strategies do you have to upsell customers? Some of your customers ought to be doing way more with you than they're doing right now, but because you are not positioned to deliver more to them, they don't do more with you than they should be doing right now. Some of the customers that are out there but are not yours could be yours, but you're not rightly positioned. Hear me now, you're not rightly positioned for them to do business with you. How do you manage those relationships? What kind of strategies are you building around them? How do customers even get to find you? I was sharing with a couple of friends the other day, and I was saying about how it's almost impossible for you to find some business. Can you be found? Let me make myself clear. And if you're doing things all by yourself right now, I hope in your strategic plan, and I do hope you have a strategic plan, that you are looking about how you're going, the kind of people you're going to be able to leverage on and collaborate with so that you can deliver bigger things in the future. And partnership and collaboration doesn't necessarily mean that you are getting someone to do what you can't do. Really, what it means is that you're getting someone to do what you can do, but they're doing it better and cheaper for you. So it doesn't mean that you don't have the competence to get it done. It simply means it's more cost effective and more productive for them to get it done. So you've got to think wide. You've got to think through it all. And when you've thought through the kind of engagement and the kind of stakeholders that you need, then note this. Every time your partners and every stakeholder, and I say all the time that a stakeholder is somebody who is affected and can affect your business. Every time stakeholders are satisfied across board, your business will never fail. And so you've got to think about how you will ensure that stakeholders are kept happy, satisfied by the things you do, your strategies and all that you have to ensure that they bring in their best, they maintain stuff, they get the kind of returns that they ought to get the kind of returns that they ought to get. And your stakeholders run across board. They run from your investors to your board, if you have one. They run to your vendors, your strategic partners, your staff, and of course your customers, your people. And when you've said all of that, you now need to begin to think of how each of these key activities can now serve to generate funding for you. To discover the ways that you can structure your business in such a way that even though you are making shoes, how else can we generate money? One of the ways that businesses make income, and I have helped businesses make income, is that you develop a capacity building arm. Someone needs to know what you know if you're good at what you do. So the question is, why don't you do that as an arm that people can come to and learn from you at a fee, and then you can ensure that you have a stream of income that is directly but not competing with your main stream of income. How else, beyond the core activity that you have, your core value proposition, how else can your business generate revenue? You've got to think through that. And when you've done all of that, you have to put numbers to it and know how much it will cost. and know how much each of those key activities and what those engagements will cost you. That's why when people come to me and tell me how they want to start businesses, and they're telling me about how they need 5 million, 3 million, 2 million, 1 million to be able to start a business, and they yet haven't taken any of these things that we've talked about into consideration, I ask them, how did you know how much you needed? That's why a lot of businesses are not bankable. That's why it's difficult for you to get access to finance. And so for new businesses, you've got to think along these lines. For existing businesses, for nascent businesses, you have to think along these lines. For existing businesses, you have to use this as a template for review. It will serve you well. My desire is that as many businesses that there are, as many people that start new businesses and have businesses running, that they have strong organizational development, that there are businesses that will thrive, there are businesses that will serve as where people can be posted to, where people can come and learn by way of internship, and there are businesses that will continue to commit and to grow the microeconomy. That's how you play your role as a nation builder. That's the responsibility that you have. And I hope that you wake up to that responsibility, that you don't just see your business any longer as just that thing that you do to get by, but you see your business as the part that you played in ensuring that your locality, your state, and your country became better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together better than that for AU. Thank you so much, sir. It was said, ladies and gentlemen, that the illiterates of the 21st century will no longer be those who cannot read or write. There will be those who will not be able to learn.